Hey everybody, I'm John. Welcome back to another episode of Backyard Garage. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that subscribe button below. That will help me. Today's episode, just like I said, kind of some odds and ends stuff. So let's get started and I'll show you where I'm at. Okay, so here's kind of where I'm at. I ended up doing a lot of stuff off camera just because it's really not much to see. So I went ahead and ran this wire here, which is for the lights, the horn, the washer fluid reservoir, and the turn signals, and then these side marker lights. I just got those running, so when I do take this sucker out for the first time for a rip, I will be legal. And then on the inside here, here's what I've been doing. It doesn't look like a lot, but I have been wiring all this stuff. Like, here's the light, or the wipers, the light to the heater, a seat belt, lamp, stuff like that. I just needed to know where everything goes, so I hooked it up. And then what I did is, there's a wire that runs down in this channel up to the back that goes to the rear lights. So I got that hooked up as well. Let's see here. If I turn on the blinker, you'll see that they work. It's pretty sweet. So we know that I got those hooked up right. Side marker blinks good. That blinks good. There's a bunch of hacked wires that were cut and just electrical taped, like this one here. They were just cut and just kind of twisted together, so I just replaced a couple of these things here. I know that these aren't waterproof, but this is just temporary so I can get it going, and then once I get it all in, I will be running it. I went ahead and got the wires all kind of secured up there. It's really ugly. It's because I'm keeping the factory AC wires. So I'll probably just get a thick wire loom and try to cover all that up. And then also I got the air hooked up and that going as well. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Now to move on to more fun things, I got this in the mail here. This is it's called a new vintage USA Detroit gauges. They were actually really good priced, and they were on sale, so I couldn't really pass them up. But it's what they do is, this takes the place of the gauges that were currently in the car, and then they go in here, and then that's kind of what they will be looking like. I can get different color backlights. These are adjustable. I'm not sure if you can see, but they do move back and forth, up and down and around. So once I get this all installed and fine-tuned, they will look good. And then here, this is a piggy tail harness, which these gauges, the reason I went with these is because they're pretty sweet. They are all pretty much plug and play. You run everything to these connectors, then it goes to these connectors, and they correspond to these, whether it's the tachometer or the speedometer, and they just plug in, play. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be working on getting the wiring for that done and all buttoned up. I got the brakes bled. My father-in-law, he came over a couple times and we got those bled, but they are still spongy. So I'm thinking I still got air in there. So my brother's actually coming over next week and he's going to be helping me get these all good to go with a pressure system. So that's kind of where we're at. Let's get to work. I got kind of excited and forgot to mention, but the gauges, everything that came with the gauges was stuff that you needed, like this is the oil pressure sender here. So I went ahead and installed that off camera. And then down here, this is my original, none of this stuff is heat shrinked yet, but it will be. This is just all temporary till I get going. But this is going to the, yeah, that sensor there for the coolant temp sensor. So that's what I'm going to be using for these gauges. And then on the original Camaro gauges, it didn't have the oil pressure on there. It had a clock, which I would much rather have the oil pressure there. And then these also have a bunch of different settings on them and stuff too. So we can probably get into that a little bit later after I get them installed and start going through it and getting familiar with them. But yeah, let's get going. Okay, so here's what we got here. We have the old dash, and I did order a new one. It's in. So I got to start stripping this sucker down and getting it ready to put the transfer a lot of stuff from here over to the new dash. So I'm going to start working on that. So now is what I want to do is this vent here. I noticed that these fins, they're sitting there like this, but they're not working right. So I kind of want to take this apart here and see if I can figure out why these aren't working right and see what's going on with them. This piece right here is like, I think it was like $200 to replace. So if I can get it working, then I would rather do that. So let me get started on taking it apart here. Okay, so here's what's going on. This has actually been broken into, or somebody went in there. Let me see if I can just to focus. But this plastic, the gray plastic in there, it's not forward enough towards the front. So what's happening is these vents are, when you close them, they're not sticking in these grooves that you see, and then they go down, which, like that. It's not sticking in there. So somebody's been in here before. I think for just now, I'm just going to live with it. The reason I can also see that somebody's been in there is they welded it back together. It looks like they took a soldering iron after they put it back together. It kind of just, you know, burnt it closed and kind of like welded it shut. And then also you could just see all this extra goop and stuff on here. So I think it broke in the past and somebody went in here and tried to fix it. So I don't want to break it apart because I just don't want to buy a new part right now. Maybe it's something that I'll think about in the future, but for right now, I guess I'm just going to have to deal with it the way it is. Okay, so I am waiting for some parts to finish up that dash. I got a screw kit coming, and then those hoses, or not hoses, but those vent lines. So is what I did here is, looks like a bird's nest, I know, but I took these, they're called T-taps, and it's what they do is they tap into a wire. I wanted to keep this harness intact, so these go around the wire and they tap in, and then they make it so you just slide the butt connectors on. So you can disconnect or connect them. So just in case in the future, if I ever want to put an original factory gauge cluster back in, it's all wired to go. I just got to take off those T-taps. So I have this installed. So I'm going to turn off the light so we can kind of see everything. Actually, I'm just going to keep it on for now. But turn this over. There we go. Looks like it's working. Not sure if I gotta adjust the fuel sender. It's saying I got a half a tank, which I know I don't. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. But that's saying that it's halfway full. I don't think it is. And then all these other gauges, they seem to be working good. I haven't started the car yet to check it out. And the only thing I did is just plugged it on and got this far. So I'm gonna check the blinker. It's the left. There we go, that's awesome. Looks like it's working. Let's try the right. Okay, I gotta mess with the right blinker. It's probably one of these T-taps here that's not working. Let me turn on the headlights, which I wired this up. Let's see what those look like. Oh, cool. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Those are blue. Let me hit the switch for the bright lights. There we go. Seems to be working well. Okay, so it looks like just about everything's working. I'm going to fire up the engine and let it start running because I want to see what the oil pressure does, if that's good. I have a sneaky suspicion that I'm going to have to run a direct line from the oil pressure gauge and the water temp sender on this directly over, but we will see here in a minute. So let me open the garage door here and then I will get her fired up. Okay, I got the garage door open and I'm going to go ahead and fire the engine up. Seems to be working good. Awesome. No oil pressure, which I gotta check that out and see what's going on with that. Could be a bad connection like the turn signal too. I'm just checking this fitting down here. As I put that on, make sure it's not leaking, which it's not, so that's good. So far, pretty happy with everything. Oh, there you go. The blinkers are working now. That was kind of weird. But the oil pressure is not working. And then I won't know about the temp sensor until it gets a little bit warm. So, and then also I see that the fuel gauge is reading 3/4 of a tank now. So that is definitely wrong. It could be just a dip switch, and it could be a bad ground. So let me kind of mess around with this. I'll come back in a little bit here once the engine gets a little bit warmer, and we'll check and see if this is working or not. Okay, so the temperature on the engine is at 170 degrees. It's still showing less. Well, it's not even moving at all. So I think I'm going to have to run a couple wires from up here. As you can see on my, you see here, right there, coolant temp 174. The fan did kick on like it's supposed to, so it's running good, but we're just not getting those readings. And I'm thinking that I just need to run new wires from the oil pressure sender and then the temp sensor. So let me get that ran and then we'll start her back up. Okay, so we got them temporarily wired in to see what happens. So let's start it back up. Neither of them are working. Kind of weird. I don't know what's going on. So I gotta troubleshoot this a little bit more and figure out what my issue is. I'm wondering if my fuel gauge is upside down. I probably have about a quarter tank in there, so maybe it's just reading the wrong way. But I know the RPMs are good. Right around 600 RPM is where it's idling. So let me look into this a little bit more. Okay, so I got it all figured out and working. I ended up having a couple wires on back of these going to the wrong connectors on the back of the gauges. So yeah, that's good to know. But there we go. There we are. Everything seems to be working. We got 50 psi of oil. This is reading about 170 for the engine temp. Let's check in on this. Connect. There you go, 176, 170. There we go, close enough. Idle target, or it's for the idle, it's around 6 to 650. Let's see what I got her set at. it set at 650 now. So there we go. Everything seems to be working good. She's running great. The only thing that looks to be off is the fuel sender, but that could also be because the car is sitting at an incline like that. So maybe it's just reading a little bit high, even though it's not. I'll have to check that out a little bit later, or play the dip switches on the back of the gauge there. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked. That's where we're at. So, well, everybody, that's going to be actually a wrap for today's video. I know it didn't seem like a lot was done. Just kind of waiting for parts, and like I said, it's going to start slowing down on the progress that I'm making, just because it takes time. A, I'm waiting for parts. B, I got to save for the parts. And C, I don't know. I'm just kind of slowly trying to piece together what I feel like needs to be done. The next video I'm hoping will be the brakes. I am actually waiting for a brake bleeder to be in. It sits on the reservoir here. It sits over this, and then it just pushes pressure into the brakes, so that's how it bleeds. So once I get that, I'll probably record that on how to do that. It doesn't look very difficult. Just pump the little can up to 15 psi, put brake fluid in it, and then crack the bleeders. So that's kind of where we're at. Thanks for watching. Smash that subscribe button if you can. Hit the thumbs up button, that helps. And hit the little bell icon so you get notifications when my videos come out. Thank you so much for watching. We'll check you all next time. Peace.